Hi everyone, it's Paul here, and this is the video for day 3 of the 2018 Cheltenham Festival. Yesterday we got off to an absolute flyer, 4 winners yesterday. Apple's Jade got placed, but yeah, she was a bit disappointing, and Vintage Clouds ran a belter as the #1 pick to get placed as well. So fingers crossed it carries on into day 2. But this is the video for day 3, and it starts off with the 130, which is the JLT Novices Chase. It's quite a smallish field again, but very, very classy. Invitation only jumps off the page for Willie Mullins. Looked class on all of his completed starts and was a good 1 length third behind Monolina Group 1, the latest. Has fallen, but you know, the novices they can do. But invitation only would have to have a great chance. Finian's Oski you'd have to mention because he was favourite for this race very early on this season. Very classy, but he's lost his way and needs the wind up to have worked. And as we've seen since the Racing Post has started to report these wind ups, sometimes they don't make that much difference. So it's a bit of a shot in the dark to go with Finian's Oscar, even though I do love the horse. Shattered Love for Gordon Elliott's interesting. Very consistent. She's a mare, so she gets an allowance. The only worry I've got is her main form lines are through Jury Duty, and Jury Duty yesterday in the 4-miler, where we won it on Rathvinden, Jury Duty slightly let the form down, and this is a better race than the 4-miler, so that just slightly tempers me with Shattered Love. Modus for Paul Nicholls has won all of his completed chases. He's run well at the course before and is improving, and I think Modus is going to be right bang there along with Invitation Only. However, for the win, I'm actually going for Terrafort for Nicky Henderson, purely because of this horse's absolute love of soft ground. And the win last time from Surname, who's a very good horse of Paul Nicholls at Sandown on soft ground, with that hill finish, it looked like Surname had won the race, and Terrafort got it all the way to the line and relished the hill, and that was in a grade 1 as well. So that just... literally, I do like an unofficial rating. I have next to nothing between Terrafort, Invitation Only, and Modus. It's going to be a cracking renewal, but from a 1, 2, 3, Terrafort from Invitation Only and Modus. 210 is a race I absolutely hate, which is the Pertemps final over 3 mile, because literally there's so many handicap plots and some big prices over the years. Thomas Campbell loves the course, but off top weight, it's a huge ask, and he has been on the go a lot this season. Who Dares Wins would have been my pick if it was on better ground, but it's not, because he's lightly raced. He was 3rd in the Coral last year, staying on, making it think 3 miles is his trip, and then he won the Cesarewitch trial over 2 mile 2 at Newmarket back in the autumn, which means he is a very good stayer, but all of his best forms on better going, and that slightly tempers me from Who Dares Wins. Lewis's Vac Pouch, I think you pronounce it, for Philip Hobbs, is fresh, likes soft. He won at Aintree back in November where I was, and visually looked very, very impressive, but he's £13 up for that, so basically a stone up in a much better race. And while he could be improving, it's a leap of faith, and in a field this size, I'm not in for a leap of faith that much, really. This leaves me with my top 3 picks, and my top 3 picks, starting off, is Glenlow, Gordon Elliott, Barry Geraghty's pick. He's been running well without winning, but as a result, he's got in this off a pretty decent mark. So you've got to give him every chance. Sort It Out also for JP McManus, was 2nd in the county in 2015, so he's got very strong course form. Stayed on well. He did nothing over fences, and then he stepped up to 3 mile on heavy. His latest, he was 40-1 and rocketed home and got 3rd. And it was a huge improvement back hurdling. Now, he had good hurdles for him a couple of years ago, obviously placed in the county, then went over fences and went wrong. Back over hurdling, they also used exaggerated weighting tactics, possibly didn't know if he'd get 3 mile, when he certainly did. And he's got in off a lovely weight of 10 stones well for me, Sorted Out. Delta Work is also of interest again for Gordon Elliott. Very consistent, and been holding his own, more than holding his own, in much better races than this. We'll find this a nice bit of a relief, basically, compared to what he's been running to. And I think he's going to go close. But for the win, I'm actually going for the 2nd string of McManus, which is Sorted Out. I know Barry Geraghty's picked Glenlow, and I understand why. I just think on this, because Glenlow Sorted Out has that placed form in the county hurdle, it just gives him the sway. It's a really tough race, but 1, 2, 3, Sort It Out from Delta Work and Glenlow. 250 is one of the big 2 races, I call it, on the Thursday, which is the Ryanair. And for me, this is still all about Un Dessous for Willie Mullins. Very, very class horse. He is the reigning champ. He loves soft ground. and it's going to take something very, very good to beat him on the day. He can front run, or last year when he won, he didn't necessarily be up front run. He was held in behind, just off the pace, came through, and no, he's a very, very good horse. You've got to mention Q Card because he's an absolute legend. I'm actually sitting on a bet on him on this for the Ryanair. When I did my earlier thoughts for the festival, I backed him in both the Gold Cup and the Ryanair when he was 25 to 1 and 20 to 1. I actually got a lot of stick off someone there saying, I can't believe you tipped up Q Card. It's going to go nowhere. He's not even going to run. He then came back out at Ascot, came second behind Waiting Patiently, who's not going here, and then came right the way back into the betting. So I'm kind of sitting pretty on there, and I think Q Card is going to run very well. But I just think the slightly younger legs of Undersue has him on this. Balco de Floss won the Galway Plate, and he was much, much better on his latest start because he had been poor after that. But his best form's on better ground, and that would be a concern. Frodon you've got to mention because he loves the course and he's very consistent for Paul Nicholls, but he will need a career best here against, well, not just better horses, but proven consistently better horses. But he could, if you're looking for a nice little each way run around at 14 to 1, he could give it. Now, Cloudy Dream has had 4 seconds this season. The last couple of times, I don't think he fully got 3 miles behind Definitely Red at Aintree. I was actually there, and he travelled well and just didn't get home. It's as simple as that. I think the 2 mile 4 trip is his trip. I think it's the way to go. He would have won the Old Roan Chase, but for, to be honest, it was a terrible ride from Brian Hughes behind Smad Place. I'm still stewing about that because I was in for good cash if that had won. And I think he's an absolute banker for the top 3, but again, might just find the consistent, classier horses out. Fascinating Renewal, 1, 2, 3, Undersue, Q Card from Cloudy Dream. 3:30 is the Stayers Hurdle, which is the feature race, and this is a ragbag of a race this year. I missed the good old days of English Draver and big books, and you knew where you stood, basically. It made things a lot easier. Sam Spinner is the 100 to 30 favourite at the moment. Now, this horse in the space of 12 months has gone from running in Class 4 novices hurdles to being the favourite for the Stayers Hurdle, which is just staggering, to be honest with you. It's absolutely crazy. He does stay. He loves the softer ground, but 100 to 30, I just can't be backing that at 100 to 30. Especially because horses from the front haven't necessarily been doing that well over the yesterday, and if it carries on, I think he's going to get placed and he'll run well, but I'm just not sure. Super Sunday was the Coral winner last year, and you know he does stay 3 mile, but both previous attempts he has been beaten, so while he gets it, he doesn't fully get it, if that makes sense, and that would be a worry. Bacardi's is Willie Mullins and Ruby Walsh's pick. He was an excellent hurdler in the day, but he's been a chasing disaster, to be honest with you. I'm back over hurdles, and we've seen you can do it with the likes of Big Bucks and stuff who did that, but I don't know. There's just something about Bacardi's that always slightly tempers enthusiasm. You know what I mean? Harry was everyone's banker, mine included, for the festival last year, and only could manage 3rd. And since then, he's been more out of form this year than he was going into it last year. He's a year older, and it's hard to see him bouncing back. What I do think is going to happen, and I'm taking a flyer on this, my pick for this race is Yanworth, who is the McManus first string. He loves Cheltenham. He won a chase last time out on heavy ground, so it's absolutely no problem. He's had 1 previous attempt at 3 mile and won at Aintree last year, beaten Super Sunday quite easily. And if he's fully wound up, I think he is the idea, because he hasn't been bad over fences, other than the one where he fell. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been brilliant, and it's very similar to like Big Bucks in that sense. Don't get me wrong, Yanworth is not Big Bucks, so before anyone writes, you compared Yanworth to Big Bucks, it's not. But in a weak renewal, I would be happy to go with Yanworth. For the other place, I'm actually going to go with the Mullins second string, which is Penhill. He won the Albert Bartlett last year, and he's only had 1 run since then, which was at Punchestown when he was a fast finish in second. But the ground is fine. He goes well fresh. You know he's a course and distance effective winner, and I think Penhill's going to outrun his odds of 12 to 1. 1, 2, 3 then for the Stayers Hurdle, Yanworth from Penhill and Sam Spinner. That moves on to the next impossible chase, which is the 4:10, which is the Brown Plate handicap. Now, Tully East loves Cheltenham. He won there last season. He's only had 3 runs this season, and that's usually to put him spot on for Cheltenham, and he does come into his own around this time of year for the last 2 seasons, winning at Cheltenham and getting placed the year before. Slight question mark on the ground, but you can pretty much bank on him to run his race. The storyteller for Gordon Elliott is in good form, but he's been found out in Group 3 and Group 1 chases his last two. He's also a novice going into open company, but has a nice weight. But I don't know. He was found out in the Group 1 and Group 3, but whether that was just his class or whether he was just a better hurdler than chaser, it makes it very hard to read. Move with the times is Nichols and Geraghty for JP McManus. He's a novice again. But for me, I question his resolve sometimes. Sometimes he's travelled, looked like the winner, and then he's just been beaten again. He is going to come right one day, but 7-1 in a race of this size doesn't really appeal to me much. Now, King Socks for the pipe yard's interesting. Really good effort in third on his only UK start. Kind of blew up a bit. And it is the type that you're going to get huge improvement from. And I think he's going to improve. I think he's going to improve into the places, but it may be experience will just catch him out. I'm actually going for a big price, or a big-ish price, for the actual #1 pick, and that is Last Goodbye. He came 5th in the Close Brothers behind Tully East last year and finished like a rocket to come 5th. He seems a stronger horse this year, even though earlier on this season he just didn't look fully wound up. I've watched the races back. However, last time out, they put a new change of headgear on him and it completely revitalised it. He won by miles and that got him effectively into this race. If the headgear works again, and it's a big if because sometimes it doesn't, I think this horse has got the ability to improve past Tully East. Now, if Tully East is up there, it's second favourite in the market and you can improve past him, that should put you pretty much there is my logic behind it. Very hard race, but 1, 2, 3, Last Goodbye from Tully East and King Socks. 450 is the Mears Novices Grade 2 hurdle, and this I can't see it going anyway. A bit like the Mears hurdle yesterday going to Willie Mullins, even though I didn't fancy that one yesterday. I thought he'd get placed, but he went and won. And that horse is Lorena today. All class, love soft, clearly stays, cost an absolute fortune, has run up to the highest marks of anyone in the field, and is unopposable. People can say, you know, oh, but it's 8-15, 8-13. Yeah, I can understand why, to be honest. Maria's Benefit has won 5 of the last 6, including a Grade 2 on the latest, but again, does it from the front, and I am worried with front runners at the moment, even though I'm a big fan of them. Plus, the best mark is nowhere near, and even the time what Lorena has managed to do. Capsulil is consistent, though getting turned over at 2-5 a couple of months ago is a concern. But does like heavy ground, but again, nowhere near the ratings that Lorena's got. Got to mention Spice Girl for Martin Keithley. Runs in the 21 Club colours, which was the colours that when I had a share in forecast last year, running exactly the same colours. Has won 5 from 6 this year and was a treble bumper winner. Find a mare to do that. No, hasn't done it. Won over hurdles. Well, the only thing for me is his only disappointing run was at Cheltenham, which is a worry. And to be honest, this is a massive step up in class today. Though for the yard, I'd love nothing more than to run an absolute belter. Another one to mention is Cantista. The JP McManus colours here. Huge improvement. Was beaten fair and square by Capsulil, but has shown a lot of improvement since then. Capsulil kind of peaked on that run, and his other runs have been in and around, but there's been no more improvement. And I think Cantista is going to go in, improve past, possibly to get a place. But it's all about Lorena, I think, with the rest possibly just playing for places. 1, 2, 3, Lorena from Maria's Benefit and Cantista. And that takes us on to the last race of the Thursday, which is the Kim Muir Amateur Riders 3 Mile 2. Pendra, always towards the head of the market every single Cheltenham Festival, never really delivered, sometimes flatters to deceive, though was unlucky last year, only went down by half a length. We haven't seen the horse since then, and that would be a worry. Interesting, Squator is the 4-1 favourite on this, and like Pendra, this is another one from McManus who is always up there in the betting and quite often flatters to deceive. Form hasn't been brilliant this year, and I just can't be having 4-1 around. It is going to go in one day, one of these two. You can just see it, but I'm hoping today's not the day. And in a competitive race, I'm not in favour of one who doesn't always deliver on the big occasion. However, Maldini does deliver on the big occasion. Previous festival winner and been placed at festivals, is a brilliant horse. Been lightly raced this year with this in mind. I remember reading a review back in December saying one more run and then we're putting him away for the Kim Muir. So this has been the long-term target, and I like horses who have proven it on the big occasion and where they've had this race targeted. Band of Blood for Dr. Richard Newland's always got to be respected because of who he is, and he is very good at bringing horses back. Strong Traveller, won his last couple, stays on the ground, but it's going to need another step up again. I think the Doctor's done very well to get him back to the form he's done so far, but this might be a bridge too far. Sugar Baron is very interesting for Nicky Henderson because he came 6th in this last year and he looked a bit of a weak. I've watched it, a weaker horse last year. This season he's looked a lot stronger. He's been staying a lot better, and this renewal I don't think is as strong as last year's. So if he came 6th last year and the horse has got stronger, you can expect Sugar Baron to be bang there. Final Nudge is overpriced at 25 to 1. He is a dour stayer. He loves soft ground. He's 3rd in the Welsh National, and Vintage Clouds, who was behind him, has actually semi-franked that form, running better in the Ultima yesterday, which I think is a lot better race than this. So Vintage Clouds doing that, and aligned with Final Nudge, would give Final Nudge every chance, and I wouldn't discourage everyone at 25 to 1 having an each-way punt, especially where you get top 5 with some bookmakers. Fiendishly difficult last as well, but 1, 2, 3, I'm happy to go with Maldini from Sugar Baron and Final Nudge. Thanks for watching again. Always comments are welcome, and I'll be back tomorrow with the 4th and final day. Cheers, guys. Have a good day today. Bye-bye.